Hi, Gwen.
Hi, Sejal. How are you?
Good. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you. I'm good. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, happy to do so. Happy to do so.
Yeah. How was your day so far?
It's good. It's good. It's been busy, right? It's been a challenge for all of us to kind of find that balance as to what's good for us right now.
I watched your previous live stream for a couple of minutes, so I know how busy you were today.
Yeah, it's been back to back for the last few days. But I'm happy to do it because people are looking for the information, and that's why we're here. We're here to share, and it's actually it's easier to share in groups versus constant one-on-ones. So if this is a good way to get the information out there that's going to help people at this time, then like I said, I'm happy to do it. So.
And if anyone has any extra questions, they always can reach you out after the live. So this is a great way to stay in touch.
Yeah, so I'm encouraging people that they can email me at sagelbellin.com, or they can find my website, sagelbellin.com as well, which has all my contact information. But also, if you're joining us live here today, feel free to put your questions right into the comment section so we can address some of them now, right? Because if you have a question, chances are that somebody else is thinking the same thing or wondering the same thing. So it would be great if we could help each other out and for that kind of support.
Yeah, perfect. I have a few questions ready for you today.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
What's the difference between counseling and coaching?
So counseling and coaching, that's a really great question. So counseling, we look at kind of where you are at the present moment, and we look to your past, and we look at your behaviors and determining which behaviors are serving you well now. How do they form? What value system do you have? And trying to get you to understand sort of where things have come from. So we do a lot of connecting the present to the past and then working with that so that you can have better outcomes for the future through behavior change. Whereas coaching, we look at that as very much motivational, goal oriented. So taking a person from the present and moving them towards a desired future. So certainly two distinct ways to look at it, but also that remember counseling and psychotherapy are regulated professions that require licensing and certifications and governance over with a third-party body. Whereas coaching, although they do have professional associations and designations, there's no regulation in place as yet for that industry. But that being said, I think that people need to look at what do they need and what are they looking for. I myself am qualified in both realms of counseling and coaching because I see the benefit of both. And I very much use an integrated approach when I'm working with any client. So I look to see when counseling and what situation they're bringing forward and when counseling would be helpful. But we always integrate an element of coaching in there because it's about moving someone to their desired future. So I always suggest to people that why don't you have a look for professionals that have a background in both, because they can serve you in a more holistic way.
Right. How can counseling or talk therapy really be of benefit before there is something really wrong or crisis? Why bother if nothing's really that bad?
Okay, so that's a really great question because a lot of people will find themselves seeking out help when there's something wrong, when they're already in crisis. And that's a really hard time to, number one, find service, to find the right practitioner when you're already so vulnerable. So I would really recommend to people, or suggest to people, that you find a practitioner that you can work with, a therapist that you can work with, before there's something really, really wrong. Because there's nothing wrong with going and seeing a professional and just working through some of our day-to-day stresses. We don't have to wait till points of crisis to seek out help. Because when crisis hits, wouldn't it be better to have somebody in place that you're already comfortable with, you're already familiar with, that knows you, knows your support systems, knows your vulnerabilities, and so that they can actually move you through that crisis a lot smoother than trying to get to know who you are in that moment? Because that's not even who you are in the best of days. So for me, I always suggest connecting with someone prior, finding that person.
Actually, that's a really good point. I've never thought about it before. That's a really good point. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Yeah, and people often hide their stress and emotional support needs from others, thinking it reflects badly or makes them seem weak. How do you respond to this?
Oh, I respond with a lot of passion and vigor, because I believe if you're coming forward and saying that I'm not okay, I really believe that that is the strongest move a person can make, is admitting that you're not okay and getting help. I do not see it from a point of weakness at all. And I know there are many, many out there who have benefited from seeking help and support, that would congratulate you and stand behind you and coming forward and asking for help. We're seeing a real shift in our society at the moment, where there was once a huge stigma against seeking help or admitting that there's something wrong, or that you are perhaps mentally distressed. We're seeing a shift right now where people are saying it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to get help. And it's okay to be seeing a therapist on a regular basis. There's nothing wrong with it, because it's just one more support system that you're putting in place to help yourself, to provide some self care, especially if you belong to a high stress occupation.
Yeah, I just realized how helpful is social media and internet, so you can still have sessions with your clients.
Yes. Yeah, so that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Is we haven't slowed down. We're doing all sessions online, and even group sessions, because I'm finding in this world of social isolation right now, it's not just about what I can contribute to the conversation, but what our whole peer group can be contributing. Somebody or a bunch of people going through the same thing at the same time. I mean, what kind of support do you think that would be, to just know that you're not alone, and that there's people out there that understand what you're going through? So I've really seen the benefit of moving even group support online, and that's what we're doing right now, in response to social isolation. And we're never going backward, Gwen. Like, we're never going to go back to just physical sessions. We will continue now offering this as an option to open accessibility to people that can't perhaps leave their homes, or have transportation issues, or want to see a therapist who lives far away because they're the right therapist. Right? So this has opened up new opportunity and new doors for people to connect with people that they normally wouldn't have.
And do this group of people know each other, or they are totally stranger for one another?
No. There's a safety when you don't know people, to be able to be vulnerable. So there's benefit to, yes, being in groups where there is familiarity, but there's also safety, in having groups where nobody knows each other. I really think it depends on the facilitator of the group, because if you have a skilled facilitator, they're able to create psychological safety no matter what, in a real creative bonding way.
That's right. What support systems or activities may people look to help them deal with stress?
So, if we're talking about sort of the immediate stress that people are kind of going through right now, there's been a huge amount of adaptation and need for people to adjust for working from home. So I think that's been a really difficult one for many people. So some of the things that I've been suggesting to keep in mind, that if you shift from going into the office to working at home, to really think about continuing or creating a routine where you're still kind of going to the office in your home or to a space in your home where you can work, and work sort of without that stimulus around you. So creating some sort of schedule, but don't do an hour to hour schedule like 9 to 10, 10 to 11, because that's a lot of pressure and stress in a time where we need some flux and flexibility. So instead, create perhaps a task list of what you'd like to get through today. And in that task list, make sure that you're incorporating some self care activities like going for a walk, moving around. Don't find yourself sitting at your desk for 18 hours a day. I did that 2 weeks ago, and let me tell you, I have paid for it. So do not do that. Make sure that you're really incorporating some self care in your day and in your routine so you're actually moving your body. Don't be stuck in front of the computer or at your desk. So making sure that you have a good workspace, making sure that you continuously are moving around and incorporating some downtime. And think about natural light. Right now, we need exposure to vitamin D, and it's important to either be supplementing that or at least be getting near windows or outside if you can, to just get some of that natural light. Because that's usually the first thing that people will forget about. So really important to remember about natural light. And then to also think about eating habits and hydration.
Mm-hmm.
So to be eating healthy, and then to keep yourself hydrated. So I constantly have a water bottle with me or a cup of tea, and I've got that with me throughout the whole day. I also keep water by my bedside so that I'm constantly hydrating, because we can forget about those like simple things. The other thing is physical wellness and physical wellness and psychological wellness. To remember that they go hand in hand. So, for example, I was just on, as you mentioned, on a previous live with a yoga studio, yoga and lifestyle in Markham, and we were talking about how she's finding it really difficult to get to the mat right now, because she's not in the right mindset, or the mind doesn't have the psychological capacity. And what I encouraged her to do was, although you don't feel like it, sometimes it's better to do the opposite. Because what would it look like if you actually went on the mat and did some activity, even if it's for 5 minutes or 10 minutes? You will feel better than when you started. So to take that initiative, and even though you don't feel like it, do it anyway, because it will likely give you that boost that you need. And I can give you a personal example of that. With last night, I've recognized that I have not been mobile and I've not been exercising as much as I should be. So last night, even though it was like 1 in the morning, I was tired, I still got on for the elliptical, and I didn't do a vigorous workout because I didn't want to keep myself up the rest of the night, but I went for a 20-minute walk. Mm-hmm. And I walked for 20 minutes, and then I went to bed. And now today, after this call, I'm going to go and work out, and I'm going to give myself a boost for the afternoon. So to plan little things like that in your day will make a huge difference, and it really does help psychologically as well, right?
Right. Right. Actually, since I'm working remotely, I figured out that it's not as bad as I thought it would be, because I have everything near me. I have a small gym at home. I have my coffee with me.
Yeah.
And slightly, yeah. So it's not as bad as I thought it would be.
Exactly. And so that's a mindset, right? And that's gaining perspective. So having a good mindset, looking at things from a good perspective, keeps you in a good, positive, emotional cycle, right? So those things will continue to help you as you kind of navigate this. I'm going on to week 5 of social isolation, believe it or not. So, yeah.
And we don't know when it ends, so
We don't know right now.
it's kind of challenging, but
Yeah, it is challenging, but at the same time, realistically, Gwen, we're never going to go backwards.
mm-hmm.
This is going to influence what our new normal looks like. So think about all the good habits that you're starting to experiment with now as ones that you will potentially keep no matter where we are in our future. So trying out new hobbies, trying out new exercise routines, trying out new foods, cooking, new skill sets. This is going to be your new normal. So think about this as opportunity.
And you know what? We have a chance to spend more time with kids and family members, and that's really good.
Yeah, you mean people staying in the same space as you? Yeah.
Yeah, like at home, we have chance to spend more time with our kids and family members.
Yes.
Versus when we went to the office, we didn't have as much time to spend with them.
That's correct. So we have, there's different perspectives there. So there are people that are looking at this as a wonderful opportunity to spend with their children and their partners or their family members. And I know that there's the other side of the spectrum where perhaps people are not getting along as well, or children are at risk, or spousal relationships are at higher risk. I know that there's a talk of domestic violence being on the increase as well. And so it's important to remember that we don't know what people are going through at the moment. We don't know what our friends are going through, our colleagues, coworkers. So when we are connecting with people, to do so with compassion. And perhaps if you haven't heard from somebody, picking up that phone and just having a check-in conversation could mean the world to them. So to think about that, I know that in my situation here, we've been adoring the time together and we've been having a really great time. There are moments where we've had to sort of make sure we give each other the space and the latitude to make mistakes and for things not to be perfect. But we've been doing really well. But I'm very sensitive to the fact that there are people out there who perhaps are not in a great situation. So we just want to make sure that we are still lending a hand or lending an ear or shoulder for those people out there. And perhaps if there's people out there if there's people out there that are listening that are maybe in that situation where they don't have the safety to talk or are feeling trapped, please, please, please reach out to a professional, get connected, and get support. Because, there are people out here that are here to support you and to provide you with some tools and strategies and perhaps just even that shoulder to lean on during this difficult time. Just know that you're not alone.
Right. How would you suggest people positively to support each other at home during the lockdown?
One of the biggest things that I've been learning is that to give each other space. Don't feel like you have to be together all the time because that puts a lot of pressure on everybody, the children as well as the parents and the spouses. So, and the siblings. So it's a good idea that it's okay to go off on your own and read and do your own thing. But to schedule time to come together, to have a great conversation, to watch a movie, and to engage in a positive way. Another way that you can support each other is to ask questions. I can give you an example that my husband came down one day and he asked me, "Are you mad at me?" And I was like, "I'm not mad at you. Why would I be mad at you?" And we actually did a whole video on this because it really made me aware that I wasn't really noticing that I was coming off in an angry way. And where was that coming from? And so I took a step back and realized that it was coming from a place of fear and worry because I knew he was going to have to go to work 48 hours. But I didn't realize that I was giving him any indication that I was angry. So just by him asking that question versus reacting instead gave us an opportunity to talk about it. Whereas if he had chose to react because he thought I was angry, so now he's going to be angry, that would have kind of probably snowballed into something bigger that would have been unfounded. And we would have expended a lot of energy and negative interaction in that. So it was really great that we were able to talk it through and ask questions versus being reactive. So just being sensitive and open to the people that are surrounding you at the moment, giving yourself the space to be by yourselves as well. And if situations come up where you think that you'll react from 0 to 100 or be really reactive in the moment, take a moment and pause and ask yourself this question. Before I react, will this situation matter a week from now, a month from now, a year from now? Because that will give you quickly a perspective as to whether your reaction is warranted at the moment. And an example I can give you for that is I lent my computer to my daughter to do her schoolwork. Of course, I lost track of time. She continued to use the computer for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, didn't think anything of it. I had not backed up all of my work as yet. A tool came up from downstairs that had a magnet. It lands on the table near the computer. She's got the magnet right near it. It's now wiped out my hard drive. The computer is dead.
Oh,
And yeah, I know. My knee-jerk reaction was to get angry, right?
right.
But before I did that, I just stopped because I was like, if I get angry, she's going to get upset. It's going to get everybody upset. And then we're going to sit in this all evening because we have nowhere to go.
Right.
So I had to really think about it. And I thought about it. And I said, is this going to matter to me a year from now? Am I going to really miss this computer? Or do I have enough on my other computer that I can continue working and doing what I got to do? And you know what? I made a choice. That right now my family's well-being is more important than whatever was on that computer.
Right. Yeah.
And so I approached that very differently.
Yeah, but for the first time, I think it would be hard for someone who tries to do it. But I think it's worth it.
It takes practice, right? I mean, so just, when you find yourself about to blow on something, just take a breath and ask yourself, will it matter a year from now? Because that will give you an instant sort of reflection on perspective and hopefully will help to curb perhaps the amplified reaction you may have had.
Right. And we've got a message here in the chat.
Yeah.
And Nano is saying, I think these moments have a huge plus. Some people saw some things in a different ways.
Okay, I don't see the comments, so I can't reflect on it. But I think just based on what you said, I think that the moments matter, right? So and we make choices in every moment. So hopefully, yeah, they've gotten a tip or a strategy here that may have helped. And I see that Dr. Natasha Williams has joined. Welcome, Dr. Natasha. She's a good friend of mine, so nice to see you here. Yeah, and if anybody out there has any questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the comment box because we're here to serve you and to answer these questions as they kind of come up. So any curiosities or experiences even that you'd like to share. And even after, if you're looking at the recording, feel free to send us a message if you have a question. We'd be happy to help you out.
I think you should have this kind of live stream more frequently, because it's so much help for people to ask questions such professional as yourself and get real good answers.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, one of the challenges has been to build a following and the consistency. I'm still just learning how to navigate the technical space. So that's certainly the focus over the next few months. So any sort of expertise or support, if you're out there, you want to help someone reach more and help more, please reach out to me. I appreciate the help and support. So it was great. I had somebody reach out to me on LinkedIn, a producer, and he loved the work that we're doing at the moment, and will hopefully be helping us out with the video side of things, so we can put out some more content that will be helpful to people. Because as you know, one of the main topic areas that I work with is unstigmatizing the suicidal mind. That's a very, very important topic that needs to be talked about, because yes, I know COVID-19 is bad and it's one of our pandemics, but something that we're not talking about is that we're losing someone to suicide every 40 seconds. So it's a conversation that we need to have. So, I'm really looking forward to being able to open up this conversation and to what it means to unstigmatize the suicidal mind, in the future, and break it down for people.
I saw someone on LinkedIn who had everyday short sessions every morning. Yep. And I thought something like this for your practice might be helpful for people who really need help and who have questions.
Okay, yeah, that's something we could certainly explore. I will definitely look into that. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Because right now everyone is trying to do something new and something unusual for their practice.
Yes. But I also find that it's there's a lot of noise out there right now because everyone is jumping to this. So it's really, really hard not to be lost amongst the noise. But one of the things that I would really suggest to people is there's a lot of information flying around. So please, when you're looking at mental health, when you're looking at physical health, to really consider the source of information that you are listening to or where you're getting your information from. Please, please, please make sure that you're getting credible information from somebody who is specifically trained, specifically licensed, where you're protected, and that you're getting credible information before you start initiating any practice. So I can't emphasize that enough, because there's a lot of noise out there right now. So just be careful, especially if you're making an investment, personal investment or financial investment, that you're doing it with the people that are truly qualified and that can truly support you in the best way.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. So here, people can ask what your. Oops, sorry. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So people can find you here, and
yes, you can find me on Instagram. I have Instagram. I'm still learning how to use it, but yes, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on my website, sagelbellin.com. You can email me, sagel@sagelbellin.com. There's tons of ways. If you Google me, you'll get a list of my videos. Yeah, so there's a lot of touch points, lots of areas. Another thing I would ask is that we're trying to get over 100 subscribers to secure our link on YouTube. So if you would be so inclined, please find my YouTube channel, Sagel Bellin, and subscribe. And there's a whole series of videos called Sagel Speaks, and that'll run you through various topics that I've covered over the past year. So, yeah.
Have you received the recorded video, by the way?
Sorry?
Have you received the recorded video, by the way, which I sent you? our webinar video?
Oh, yes, and I've included it on that list. So yes, the one that we did for Harvard Business School online community is actually added right to that list, and it's linked so people can view it there. Yes, I'm so excited to do that.
Yeah, perfect. And again, thank you so much for your contribution during the webinar.
Oh, you're so welcome. And my TEDx talk is there too. So if
yeah. Have you received the file I sent you?
Yes, so I'm going to submit for that as well. Yes, perfect. Thank you. But yes, so there is a TEDx talk on that link as well. So again, if you could like it, if you could share it, and if you could comment on it, that would be great.
Talk? Is it on YouTube or what did you say?
It's on my YouTube channel. Yeah, it's on my YouTube channel on Sajal Speaks. And the great thing about that talk, folks, is that we've had feedback that it has saved lives and saved families. So please spread the message. Even if it's not you, doesn't speak to you personally, please share it because it might speak to someone you know, someone you work with, someone you care about. So it would really be appreciated if you could help spread the word.
And also, I'll try to somehow save this live video so people can watch you again, because your recommendations were really helpful, useful for people. And I'll try to save this on my page.
Okay, thank you so much, Gwen. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you again for joining me today.
Okay, take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.